What's up, guys? Can God tell you who you are supposed to marry?
We believe yes, and God told us that we would marry each other before we even went on our first date. My name is Brittany Garcia, and this is my husband.
My name is Roberto.
And we got married about 3.5 years ago now. And so this is like a short recap of how that happened, how God told us, and kind of the process of that. It's also an introduction to our channel. This is the first video we're posting on our channel, even though we have one pre-recorded already. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into our story.
Okay.
So in the year 2017 was really the first time I met Roberto. I had briefly met him the year before, and then I was a missionary. So I wasn't actually in the United States. And Roberto and I met like right as I was leaving the country. I think it was like the day before or something. And then I came back the next summer. And I was looking for a Bible study to go to where I could really learn more about the Word and be connected with Christians who were my age, who really wanted to get to know Jesus better and further their relationship with him. And I had a friend who recommended Roberto's Bible study. And so we ended up going together, and I didn't like him at the time. I just thought he was a cool dude. I thought that he really knew the Lord, and I admired him, I respected him, and everybody in that group just loved Jesus. And it was a really cool season in my life. Very, very fun as well.
Yeah. Before I met Brittany, I think a few weeks before I met her, I know I was kind of frustrated because I know I wanted to get married, but I was tired of choosing the wrong girls. Both of our paths were pretty different. I dated several girls. I slept outside of marriage. Brittany didn't even really date anybody until she met me. And so whenever I met God, I knew that I wanted that type of relationship where you could give your heart to somebody and fully trust him. And I just had never had that, I had never been able to trust anybody. So whenever I met Brittany, I didn't really feel anything significant either. I just thought she was cute.
Aww.
I knew she was a missionary. I knew she was gonna go back to France, but I didn't want to pursue her. It wasn't like I saw her and I was like, whoa, I want to take that girl out on a date. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
Because
it was very platonic. Like, I looked at him as like a brother in Christ. I admired him, I respected him, and it was the same way of him towards me. Yeah,
so I think it was just the way the whole thing started. I mean, I always thought that, you just look at a person, you think they're attractive, and then you start going out on dates. You try the shoe out.
And see if it fits.
You guys know what that means. And then if it fits good, and everything works out well, then you move on to the next phase, and then to the next phase, and then if that works out, you guys are having fun, then get married. It was just so different the way God did it, and that's because some time back I had told the Lord, I'm tired of making the wrong decisions with girls. I want you to pick my spouse. And I had said that before. But the only person you can't lie to is yourself and God. And so I had said that so many times, but I never truly meant it like I did that time. And so I knew something had changed. I didn't feel anything crazy, but I knew something had changed. It was like my desires were no longer, I'm trying to look for a girl. So I stopped looking for girls, I stopped like, oh man, that girl's cute, that girl's cute, that girl's cute, I just stopped looking for one.
Yeah. Was that like the year before you met me?
No, it was a few months before I met you.
So for me, it was a very similar situation. I almost always had a crush or somebody that I admired. And then there was actually something pretty serious where I had a soul tie towards a guy that I really thought that I was going to marry. And there was obviously nothing that he did, but it was something that needed to be broken off of my life in order to fully be ready to meet Roberto. And I remember that all of those crushes, it just had kind of accumulated in my heart and my soul. And for a full month before I met Roberto, I spent it almost completely alone because I was in the missions housing. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have a car. And I didn't have a job because I had just moved back to the United States. And I spent that month really praying and getting to know God's heart. And he told me to start cutting off all of those old relationships, even though they really weren't relationships. And I started deleting people off of Facebook. I started deleting messages and pictures. I started erasing phone numbers as well, and blocking numbers that I needed to. And so that was like the start of me getting my heart ready. And I remember praying at the end of that month. I said, Lord, I had been wanting to get married for so long at this point. I think I was, 20, how old were you when we met? You were 23?
23.
And I think I was 26.
Yeah.
Or 25. And so, anyways, it had been a while that I had been wanting to get married, and I finally prayed very sincerely right before I met Roberto, and I said, Lord, I don't care if I don't get married. And I really meant it. I said, I just want to know what your will is for my life, what you want me to do with my life that you've given me, and I give it all to you. And I was very sincere in meaning that. And when I let go of trying to do it myself, I met Roberto like 2 weeks later, or not even. And we didn't even know that we were going to get married to each other until a couple weeks after that. So, or no, it might have been a month into us
something
talking.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened when you finally knew that it was me? What was it that God showed you?
Well, everybody always
happened with him first.
Everybody always asks, like, how does God? How do you know the person you're supposed to get married? And there's not a one answer for that. That's why nobody really preaches on this, or people don't really talk about this, because there's not a one answer. Mm-hmm. You just know. Mm-hmm. Like, you just know. You know, the Bible says, my sheep know my voice, and as strangers they will not follow, meaning you know what his voice sounds like. When he specifically tells you something, it's not, did the devil say that? Did I say that? Mm-hmm. Did God say that? It's, you know, he said that without a doubt, you know? And so whenever I told God that I asked him to pick my spouse, I had heard many stories of people saying that they had, like, God told them, oh, that's going to be your wife, or however it happened, you know. I was like, man, that sounds pretty awesome. I want that to happen, you know. But I didn't know how it was going to happen mm-hmm. for me. So I thought the way it would happen would be I would see her and boom, like I was going to be like, whoa, that's your spouse, you know. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. So whenever I met Brittany, I didn't feel anything. I just thought she was cute, you know. Nothing out of the ordinary, because how many people do you think are cute? Yeah. You know? A lot of people, right? There's nothing. That doesn't mean anything, you know? Right. And also because for the longest time, I had a type, which is bullcrap. There's no such thing as a type. Like, I don't believe for even a second that God is into types. Yeah. Because God doesn't really see the outside. He sees the heart, mm-hmm. you know? And not to mention, the whole type thing is just super selfish. People only have types based on things that they are into, mm-hmm. you know? Mm-hmm. Like, the only reason why I had a type was because I got hooked on porn very early on, mm-hmm. and there was a specific porn star. That's right, we keep it real in this channel. There was a specific porn star that was Asian that I used to like to watch all the time. And so I didn't know, but subconsciously I made this connection with Asian girls. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I thought my type was Asian girls. How stupid is that, you know?
Really stupid.
That's dumb.
Because I don't look Asian at all.
So like, I thought, okay, so my wife would probably be Asian. So the girl that I was committed to before I met Brittany was an Asian-looking girl. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw her, I was like, whoa, that's probably my wife. Mm-hmm. Because I noticed her noticing me, mm-hmm. and then I looked at her and I was like, yeah, that's mm-hmm. definitely my wife. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. So normally when God brings you the real thing, the enemy will bring you the fake thing. Yes, before you meet the one. You know?
Watch out for the counterfeits.
But then again, you know, that may not be the case all the time. So, so whenever I met Brittany, like I said, I wasn't trying to look for the girl. I wasn't looking for it. So we were spending some time together. And I started noticing things about Brittany that I liked, you know. She was very, she was wise. I know she knew the Lord. And she was very, what's this word I'm looking for? Like she respected herself, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't
around man.
I wasn't flirtatious.
Yeah, you know, like I Yeah, she wasn't like that. So then we went to a little trip, me, another guy from my buddy Keith, and Brittany.
And it was a ministry trip, which I almost didn't go on.
I mean, we call it a ministry trip, but I mean, we're just gonna go visit a friend.
We were hanging out, but I mean, it was a girl that we met doing ministry.
We throw the name ministry for like serving people, but we were just gonna spend some time with a girl.
Yeah.
You know, ministry just simply means serving, helping somebody out.
And I almost didn't go on this trip because I was gonna be the only girl traveling there, but I felt like the Lord told me to go, and I was like, okay, I'll go, which was very out of character for me at this point. I was trying to be very, very careful about who I was around. It was just a conviction that I had personally. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but that's kind of what I believed at that point.
Well, she trusted me and Keith at that point, so that's what she chose to do. So we went on that trip. We spent some time with that girl, spoke life over her, had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I started noticing something interesting that I couldn't put my finger around it, but it's almost like every time I would see Brittany or look at Brittany or talk to her, I was starting to feel something, like a little voice, like something whispering something. I couldn't even put my finger and like, what is that, you know? Mm-hmm. So on our way back, I was just in the back seat getting roasted because Keith wouldn't turn up the AC. That was
so funny. He was like melting in the back seat.
It was ridiculous,
he was so hot.
Keith, if you're watching this, bro, that was messed up. So like I was just kind of like sensing that there was something going on there, you know?
And we were listening to worship music and worshiping on the way back from the trip from Arkansas.
So we were gonna go to a friend's wedding
the next day. Yeah.
And I asked Brittany if she was going, and she said no, I wasn't invited. So then I said, well, do you want to go? She said no, I wasn't invited. I said, well, do you want to go? She said yes. I said, well, there, I invited you. She was very nonchalant, not at all something that I had planned or wanted to make into a date, you know.
Yeah.
So then I took her to that wedding.
No, that night we went and got ice cream.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was when we got ice cream. It was after the wedding.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we hung out the day before.
Do that night?
We went to a park, but there wasn't anything significant that happened there. I mean, there's some stuff that happened, but it wasn't anything that we should probably talk about in this video. Maybe we'll do like a drawn out. I mean, there's a lot of details that I'm missing in the process.
You mean when we got ice cream?
I'm talking about the important details because you told me we only had 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. So we do only had 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm missing a lot of points. I'm just going through the main details.
Yeah.
So we went to the wedding. I didn't even dance with her. My buddy Ruben danced with her because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't like pursuing her at this point, you know. Yeah. But then something happened. After that wedding, we went and grabbed ice cream, and I was just like, hey, well, just tell me more about yourself. You know, this is the first time we actually are alone, you know. So she just told me about her past and her family, and that she was apparently God told her she was supposed to marry this dude, and she held on to that for like 10 years.
Yeah, it was a long time.
But I mean, she had kind of liked and tried to pursue some dudes in the meantime, but then she knew she was gonna marry this guy. I thought that was weird.
It was such a mess.
I thought that was weird. I didn't say anything, but I was like, well, if you thought you were gonna marry this guy, then why even try to pursue any other dude?
Yeah, like why keep the door open? Like why have plan A and plan B?
Yeah, but then she told me the reason why she thought this guy was the guy she was supposed to marry. She was supposed to marry.
Which I had a Bible verse, I had a revelation from God, supposedly, and the fact that I had held on to it for so long, like to me was like, that's it, you know?
I was like, nah, boy.
Yeah, and I told him all that.
She told me that she felt like she was supposed to marry this bro because his name was in the name of the book and his birthday was the verse and the chapter. I was like, nah, boy. Like, I knew like when
if you have a preconceived notion, your mind will find the connection somewhere, and that doesn't mean that it's God.
You're gonna find a way to make it. If you want it to happen, in for one person, God's gonna say, okay, have it your way. You know, God's not going to override our will.
Right.
And so if you really want to go with somebody, and you're not pursuing God and saying, okay, God, let your will be done, even if it means me letting go from this person. For me, I said that so many times before I met Brittany, but I just I wouldn't let go because I kept on having sex with this other girl, and I was so emotionally invested. I wasn't willing to let go, you know. And so yeah, so I knew the Lord had told me the meaning of what that verse meant for her, but I didn't tell her then.
Yeah.
So I took her grocery shopping the day after, and then we spent some time together. I dropped her off, and then I said, hey, we were texting at this point, and then I said, hey, I believe God told me what that verse meant.
And at that same exact moment, God had been, you know, working on my heart, because Roberto started noticing that there was something about me when we went on that road trip. But in my case, I didn't at all. I kind of was like, yeah, he's still a friend, still super platonic. And then when he took me to get groceries, it was that night. So that was like 2 days later, 3 days later.
That was a day later.
And I started, you know, like, God started telling me, like, he's the one. And I was like, no, he can't be the one. Like, what in the world? I've held on to this other dude for like 10 years, 10 plus years at this point. And I was like, I'm not just going to give that up, you know, for a guy that is not my type, you know?
Nah, boy.
And, so I remember I threw he dropped me off at my apartment, and I took my phone and I threw it at the couch, and I just like kneeled on the floor, and I was like, God, no. And he was like, well, you can have it your way, or you can submit to what I'm telling you. And I knew that God was telling me that it was Roberto. And so I grabbed my phone and I went to text him to say thank you for getting my groceries. Wasn't it that?
Something like that.
Yeah. Or saying good night or something like that. And he was like,
this was during the day when we were texting.
Right. And so at the same time that I sent that message, he sent the other one with the meaning of that verse. And it meant so much to me, because I was like, okay, if that's the meaning of the verse, then I've had it wrong all this time for 10 years. And that was what started breaking that soul tie off. And there's a whole lot more to this story, because over the next few days, God began to like do open heart surgery on my heart, and I was literally delivered from a soul tie that I had that was so ingrained and so tied on to my soul. When I got delivered, it felt like something was pulled out of me, and it was absolutely incredible. And I have never felt more free than I did in that moment. I mean, I'm free now, you know, but like from that point forward till that moment, I felt so free. And people say that soul ties are not a real thing, but let me tell you, you can have an emotional soul tie, you can have a sexual soul tie, you can have
a soul tie to a teddy bear.
That's true.
Seriously. You can have a soul tie to food.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you were not willing to let go of some of the stuff that you eat.
Yeah.
But whenever I sent her that message, as soon as I sent that message, because I feel like I feel like it was kind of like a bold thing to tell somebody, hey, you know, you kind of had it wrong, you know. So I just made a choice, and I said, well, I'm going to tell her what you're telling me, Lord. So I did. And in that moment, I felt like I was wearing sunglasses, and God just removed the sunglasses away from me. And I saw Brittany, and I immediately knew in 1 second, without any doubt, not even a tiny little bit, I knew I was going to marry her.
Yeah.
And then in like 1 second, I felt like a billion butterflies just bursted in my stomach, and in 1 second I was fully in love with her.
Yeah.
You know, and so there was like no doubt in my mind that in that moment God said, you're gonna marry her. But it didn't happen until I audibly, in my own voice, with my own voice, for the first time said, Lord, is Brittany my wife? When I said that, it happened. It's almost like when I asked God, He answered me, because I gave him the because
like the ultimate say was up to him.
Yeah, you know, and so I said, all right. And so, you know, it kind of was crazy after that. Like I said, this is a long story, but
this is the shortened, condensed version, short and sweet. There's more to it from my side. There's more to it from Roberto's side. So if you like our story and you would like to know more, we're going to be doing more marriage videos, but this is just the first of many to come, and we hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy Valentine's Day. If you're still single, God can also tell you who you will marry
Yeah.
and who he has for you.
Yeah.
And it'll be beyond your wildest dreams. It'll be amazing.
Yeah. Stay encouraged.
Yeah.
It's not I forgot what I was gonna say. I mean, just stay encouraged, man. You know, we think the single season is bad, but because it feels lonely sometimes, but it really is such a gift.
Yeah.
You know, because you're never gonna have that time with God alone ever.
Right.
Trust me, never.
So we love you guys. We'll talk to you very soon, and follow us on Instagram so you can keep up with us in our day-to-day life. And have a great rest of your day.
Don't forget to act like a boss.
Bye, guys. Say bye, baby.
Oh,
You're turning
bye.
around.
I always wanted to see if the kitty was sleeping or not.
Oh, I can feel my body move to every move you make, and I can feel the tension every time we're close. I know whatever happens, I will have you next to me. 'Cause tonight we have it all. 'Cause we're dancing as one. 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 We've been in two places all at once.